Tonight, Dennis, in providing this information. We talked about farmers being concerned about the groundwater, and for the majority of the people in the room, that's our concern, the water. So these standards that have been in place, how do they work for the communities in Green Bay? There's often manure spills, and you can't stand here, and no one could stand here and tell us it's never going to happen. So what's going on in Green Bay?
That's a really excellent point. So when I go to Jersey Valley, the first question I had is, will you guarantee that there will never be a manure spill? And the answer to that is no. I mean, as I said, they may have the exact perfect conditions and do the perfect application and get a 4-inch rain the next day and have a runoff of it. Glenn is the fault. We have the 151 rules for siting, and I agree with that. Congratulations. I also got to serve on the committees that wrote NR 151, those rules, NR 243, and I spent a lot of years arguing from the farmer's side all our state water quality rules. I think those rules are as protective as possible. I think those rules are really good. And the goal is, how do we make sure that everybody is in compliance and trying to farm to those systems? That's not always easy, you know, and so what happens in Green Bay, and I'll be honest, I was in Green Bay, we have a huge concentration of livestock. We have karst topography. Karst is a totally different situation. If you look at the karst map, where we have shallow soils over fractured bedrock, if anything gets below that soil, which is a great filter, and it hits a crack, it's going right to groundwater. That whole area has real challenges. And I'm not going to throw it under the bus and say that they're insurmountable, but I've told the dairy industry and the livestock industry, we have to treat this totally different. And I don't want a rule written for Kewaunee County that affects every county in the state, because every county is different. Those karst counties are very challenging. I think you have to look at, in those counties, how much spreadable acres do we have? Do we have enough land base to utilize these nutrients? Are there other technologies? And we've talked to the industries about technologies that could transform that manure to a drier product. There's a bunch of things that are going to happen to make that a sustainable system long term.
Aware that we've already adopted 51 in the ordinance?
Yes, I am.
And I mean, that's addressing all of the concerns that could be involved. However, we are, like she mentioned, and we are still concerned with water and the importance of keeping that water clean. And I brought that up many times, and I still am concerned with water and protecting that. You can fix anything else, I know that. But you cannot fix a water system, the water table.
You're exactly right. So as DNR reviews this application and they look at it, the rules under NR 243 are more prohibited than even Chapter 151 as far as setbacks, application rate, timing. If you look at the data that came out of Discovery Farms, and very few people know this, but the real big runoff periods, the risk for contamination of surface water, 58% of the runoff in the state of Wisconsin occurs in February and March. Winter applications of manure are a big deal. And we first published that. It's not a popular thing, but it's bottom line. You spread on melting snow, and it's not going to stay in place. Between March and June, we have the other, if you look between, so it would be February through June, 85% of all the runoff occurs. So realistically, we have done a lot of education programs trying to tell dairy farmers the safest time periods to actually spread manure are September, October, November, and December. That's 5% of the annual runoff in those months. Think about the dairy industry and how much storage we have out there, manure storage. Think about how we're going to get an industry to have adequate storage. Those storage systems are outside, so they get rainfall, they're affected by a lot of other things. And I'm not throwing dairy under the bus, it's critical for us to succeed. We've got to figure out how we're going to apply nutrients at really safe periods of time. Today, if you go to Dane County, and I know you're in Dane County, I work down there a lot. In August, there's huge manure smells in Dane County because they've moved their manure application window up to the dry parts of the summer. They're planting wheat, they're planting small grains to try to get away from the high-risk periods. Those are innovative practices that agriculture has undertaken. Those things are going to have to be considered. This is not going to be, we're going to do whatever we want and be traditional. We've got to watch runoff, we've got to do everything we can to minimize losses to surface water.
Could you answer me one more question?
Sure.